Like many of you out there, I have at least a handful of pretty interesting games wasting away in my Steam library with no playtime on them. And one of these lovely little titles is Red Faction Guerilla Remastered Edition. I don't like how that word comes out of my mouth. An adventure through the sands of the Red Planet where just about everything you see can be torn apart with guns, bombs, hammers, and more. You drop into the boots of Alec Mason, a colonist on Mars who's just landed and been greeted by your brother, but given the rundown of the pretty dire situation that our little red dot in the sky has fallen under. The EDF, has become an occupying force and is stomping out any form of resistance, peaceful or otherwise. Your brother is killed shortly after your arrival, and it pushes our protagonist to join up and fight for the Red Planet. The mission structure is pretty immersive. You move about different sectors in need of support to hit EDF patrols, destroy buildings, and secure assets for the movement. Interspersed with the captivating environmental combat are quite a few narrative missions to keep the story moving along. It's not a short game by any means, and while plenty of new open-world adventures have more to do, Red Faction keeps you occupied by giving you a living sandbox that your story takes place in with some massively satisfying action. The actual mechanic for capturing a sector has you balancing control and morale. If you go with a glassed earth strategy that results in colonists getting killed left and right, nobody's going to want to fight for the Red Faction. But be accurate in your strikes and keep the civvies safe, and you'll be given guerrilla reinforcements anytime you get into fights in those sectors. As far as breaking EDF control, you have different targets that can be destroyed like ore processing plants, armories, and plenty else to sate your destructive tendencies, along with being able to take part in rescue operations to save captured fighters and colonists, or help your allies hold on to captured ground with the guerrilla actions that popped up in controlled areas. While most of the game does revolve around crushing EDF troopers and their surroundings with a hammer, it's also kind of the absolute peak of how much fun you can have by just breaking stuff. Their sound design is just as crunchy and bassy as you would hope for a sci-fi beat-em-up that includes beating up buildings. Guns are snappy and explosions have some... And with the dynamic destruction happening in every battle, the cacophony of vehicles and buildings getting shredded by heavy weapons really nails it for the immersion. Visuals in the remaster are great too. No more 2009 bloom that we were all used to back then. Having come out in 2018, the lighting looks pretty damn modern now, and the textures are crisp. The 3070 is sitting comfortably above 200 FPS, but overall it's not a particularly resource-intensive game compared to newer action shooters. The aesthetic of Far Future meets Shantytown helps drive this almost Wild West vibe for life in the desert too. The EDF are posted in fairly clean, reinforced buildings with extensive tech, but your average Martian citizen is in a dilapidated sheet metal hut with no fancy helmet or respirator to help with the dust, and this really lends itself to grounding the player in the world that Deep Silver built. The only visual elements that haven't aged great are the cinematic cutscenes, but it's not like they aged terribly or anything. There was a flavor that game cinematics had in 09, and I actually kind of appreciate them keeping it in. The score for the game, while not some groundbreaking piece of composition, is a good action soundtrack for fighting your way across Mars. Energetic symphonies make up the majority, with some mild electronic influence worked in here and there.
This building's coming down! Move it!
There are a lot of games that do the individual tricks that Red Faction pulls off, but I still haven't found one that puts them all into one package. You've got a semi-linear story that takes place by doing non-linear missions in an open world. You've got incredibly responsive and dynamic destruction physics that let you use the environment as a weapon too, and casual gunplay that doesn't feel like it was pasted into the beat-em-up combat of its game world last minute. Games like this are why I play old stuff so regularly. I'm only a few hours in, but I got a good 16 to 20 out of the original and can totally see getting the same out of this one. It's definitely worth a visit if you missed it in its heyday, and it pretty regularly goes on sale for as cheap as a couple of dollars on Steam, so it should be easy to snag. Thanks for watching, keep an ear out for us on Spotify, and we'll be back with more from the Horizon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.